All right. Oh, whoops. Yeah, there we go. So we are for back for day 2 of the casting. We're gonna finish up this Atlanta Reign versus New York Excelsior game. Just watching some highlights as we're coming back from halftime. Just just chilling. I believe New York Excelsior are up 2-0 at this point in the series. Or yeah, they are. It's right on screen, so I don't even need to assume. And we'll find out what's going on when we get back to it. Overall, it's been a very close series. It's just that New York have been able to kind of clutch it out in the final moments of the maps. In Atlanta, like, both teams are looking very strong. It's just that New York seems to be just a bit more consistent with their comboing with their halts. The Orissa's her pull ability, whether it's comboing the halt with Reaper ultimates, or comboing it with the Doomfist ultimate, comboing with the Doomfist punch, comboing it with Sigma's rock ability. It's just they're a little bit more coordinated with it, and they're just getting a little more value out of it, and that is ultimately the reason that Orisa is currently getting a lot of playtime. That's what makes this composition of heroes so strong, is that there's so many things that you can combo with her halt ability, and the teams that are getting the most value out of it, really making sure every single time you're using a halt, it's getting good value. Those are the teams that are just going to be more successful. Now we're going into Hanamura. So everybody's favorite game mode, 2 CP, 2 capture points. It's technically called Assault, but everybody likes to call it 2 CP. New York going to be rocking the Bastion strat here, actually. New York going to be coming out with a nice Bastion strat, Bastion Symmetra. Let's see what they can do. Atlanta also has Symmetra. They might be looking to teleport the point here. And a Junkrat, very interesting heroes. They're going to go to the right side, knowing that the New York is on the Bastion. So they keep cover. A really good job taking space here from Atlanta. Forcing New York to take a different angle to get an angle onto the point instead of they didn't even Atlanta just completely avoided the choke, but Baby Bay goes down. No more teleporter. And Atlanta's able to get save Yolby. But it looks like New York just has more kills coming in here. And Gator a bit split off. There's only 2 remaining from New York Excelsior. And the thing about 2 CP is that the attackers have spawn advantage. And New York is swapping on to... Yeah, it looks like Atlanta are going to take a fight here, knowing that they have a player advantage for a short amount of time. They're going to take control of the point. Yeah, it looks like New York might just be giving it to them. Or they might give up 2 ticks and then come back. Yeah, they are going to take the fight. Erster forced to use his Riptire, so they can win the fight here. And Erster likely going to be swapping off of the Junkrat after they win this anyway, so... good play from Atlanta to know that they have a small advantage with the respawns, and that they can just easily win there. And Ursa's now going to be going onto the Bastion. This is an interesting time for Overwatch here. They're going to be putting the barrier right in between the point. Very nice. I really like that flux from Gator. Oh, fuck, dude. And Atlanta's just taking full control of the point here. And they take second point. So, Mono dropped the bongo, and Gator decides that, well, we don't want you to get any value out of your bongo, and I'm going to use my flux, and we're going to kill you all instead of you getting value out of your bongo, which I thought was really really smart play from him. Um, Overall, a very very well played from Atlanta. I don't know if it's that New York didn't expect them to be running the Bastion, or if they didn't expect them to be coming from the left side with the teleporter, or if they just didn't have enough time to get the positioning that they wanted, or what. But they just kind of got steamrolled over it. And Atlanta's gonna have a crazy time bank here. You're probably gonna have like 5 minutes or something. At 4 minutes 36 seconds. That is a lot of fights. And now Atlanta's also going to be rocking the Bastion on defense. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. They are also okay. So they're bringing the Baptiste Ana. Um, I think it's interesting they're not rocking a Mercy. I personally would think a Mercy would be better for this, but what do I know? Because the Ash really benefits from the Mercy, and Mercy is just one of the best heroes to pocket DPS in general. And both the DPS are running are really do benefit from the Mercy. If the Bastion goes down, you can res him and everything, and he just does a lot more damage with the damage boost than other heroes do. And it looks like NYXL actually are trying to do a similar thing as to what Atlanta did with the teleporter. And they do the exact same rotation. Now it's going to be a matter of what Atlanta do, where they decide to rotate. When they're pushing up here, this is interesting. So Gator gets, they realize that the Jonak is on his own, and Gator just goes and kills Jonak. But they did force Dogman off this high ground position, which is where he wanted to be. Somehow, Dogman able to survive, though. He was able to rotate fast enough. And this is just a matter of a shield war here. New York is now on the point. They're contesting. Both Bastions are down, and neither team is running a Mercy, so these are permanent kills here. And they're able to take out the second DPS. But the kills are coming through for New York. Maybe Atlanta pushed a little too far forward, a little sooner than maybe they wanted to. And New York just able to have the better positioning, and even though they lost players, they were just able to clean up Atlanta. Very slow, methodical play. Very, very nice for New York there. He used the shield to bounce the dynamite. Oh, that was really funny. And New York taking the same rotation that Atlanta did. Atlanta now on the May, or sorry, Erster on the May instead of the. Well, they're all going to teleport over to the high ground. So I really like that bongo from Pokepo there. They all teleported onto the high ground right above them, and some of the players dropped. And he knew that if any of them planned on dropping to try and take the point, that they were just going to be walking right into a damage boosted everybody from his team, and that they were just going to get destroyed. So Atlanta maintaining the high ground control, and they decided to drop off, knowing where New York is going to be teleporting to. New York seems to have a bit of an ult advantage here, though. Both teams have window. Ursa using his wall. Not sure why they used the wall. They maybe, yeah, I think him using his wall there was a big mistake because now they just have free reign to use their ults to use a window whenever they want to. Maybe we're gonna get a pick on the libero, but now they just have this high ground position. The tanks of Atlanta are a little too split up. Okay. I don't know what libero was trying to do there. He was trying to kill Gator, but he's just not really with his team. New York I don't think that they have the advantage that they want here. I thought that they were maybe waiting for Liberal to come back on Symmetra, but they weren't. And they are currently fighting a 5v6. Liberal just is not in the fight. They seem to be really, their priorities are spread out. But they're getting a lot of ults out of the Atlanta Rain. Atlanta dropping 3 ults right there with the Bob. They use Bob, they use the Blizzard, and they also use the Flux. The entirety of Atlanta Rain doing the tactical crouch on Animo, and New York Excelsior decide to swap onto the Reaper and the Moira. Um, good. I think that was overall good map control from Atlanta Rain and not allowing Libero to get back into the fight on the Doomfist like he wanted to, and making New York fight a 5v6 for pretty much the entire time. Mako getting a little low here, forcing them off the high ground. It's exactly what New York want. But Baby Bay doing his best to prevent them from getting into the fight without taking any damage. And New York they're just playing a little bit too slow here. Like they really need to just kind of commit to an engagement. They're taking a ton of chip damage, and they're they're just not putting out enough damage to finish off any of these kills here. They're getting some, but it's like they're just engaging a little too late. And now Atlanta just has a lot of ultimates here. They're pretty much even in terms of the ultimate economy. And Baby Bay is just getting so much value out of these dynamites. he just used the Bob on the Libero, and he's already at 35% ult charge or whatever after that. And wow, what a hold from Atlanta Reign. That's crazy. I think New York spent maybe a little too long trying to, on the more committed, like less consistent strategy of the Bastion, with the Bastion Symmetra, and then I don't think I think if you like lose, so they lost Libero, their Symmetra player who has the teleporter and everything. I think if you're gonna like if you lose a player and he's not going to come back on the pick that is going to make the Bastion composition that much stronger, then you might as well all just swap, right? Because you need the teleporter for the Bastion strat to work, and if you're going to stay on the Bastion without the teleporter, it's just like, you know, I think they spent too much time fiddling around with that kind of thing, and they were just gonna they were like, oh, but maybe we have ults, so we can just stay on the Bastion and like he should just get on the Doomfist now. But it's like you're like in between two different styles of play, and it's overall just not consistent. Um, Atlanta did a good job of shutting down the Doomfist or Libero when he was coming back on the Doomfist. Um, so we got no value there, and the the whole time there they were just New York just not coordinated enough to or sorry, not decisive enough, honestly, to just pick a style and just go with that style and pick when to commit and, just do it. Overall spent just too much time not on the point. I mean, they rarely were able to get a chance to even get to the objective to actually take the objective because Atlanta was doing such a good job getting poke damage on them and controlling the high grounds and making it so New York had to were forced to do certain things, like they were forced to take high grounds or whatever that were they're crucial high grounds, and especially when you have a bastion, you need the high grounds. Uh, but yeah, you see Baby Bay here just throwing in his dynamite over the shields and shooting them, getting the just insane value out of those. I mean, I don't know how fast his bobs were. Or sorry, how fast his ult charges were, but like this is another great dynamite here. Only gets a 2K, but honestly, that should have been a 3K onto mono. So for the payload map, we got Rialto, Atlanta Reign once again looking to beyond Bastion. And they are going to be rocking the Mercy this time. I like this pick. Interesting position from Baby Bay and Masa on the left here. Ooh, the damage boosted. Damage boosted dynamite. Baby Bay just making sure that they can only see the smallest amounts of him that he, really controlling the angles there. It's very interesting from New York. They just have their May pushing the cart like she's a main tank or whatever. Jonak just owning Baby Bay in a 1v2 scenario. Holy crap. What a monster. What? New York just playing patiently, waiting for the cooldowns to come back online. And they're going to put their shields out. They're going to engage. They're going to immediately kill Erster. The lamp goes down for Atlanta. And Baby Bay goes down. And they have a two-player advantage. And Atlanta's just trying to get time off the card at this point. Trying to build some ult charge. Atlanta should have... Actually, no, there is not much of an ultimate advantage to be had here, other than maybe the bongo. They'll have their bongo earlier in the fight. That's going to be what they need to use early in the fight if they plan on winning. Because if they use it too late, then Mana will also have one, and it'll essentially be even. However, Libero has arguably a better ultimate uh, in the Blizzard versus the Bob. And Gator on the flank here, the Mad Lad, gets huge value out of the Flux. They're able to revive Erster on Bastion, but they use Bongo, and it looks like Atlanta's taking this fight. They're able to save their Bongo as well. Oof, Poke drops the Bongo. Oh, and that is not... Atlanta maybe committing a little too much to the positioning there. They did not have the respawns. New York had the way better... New York had much better respawns in that scenario, and fighting on the bridge where there's just no cover there, and New York just has better respawns and better cover advantage and everything. Just not the fight you want to be taking. You want to, back up a little more and play the corner because you are still missing players, especially committing the bongo to the bridge fight like that. Not ideal. Um, maybe getting a little cocky. And New York now has this high ground. And their Bastion goes down, so they don't really get much value out of the high ground. They're going to drop off a bit. Now Baby Bay on the May. And the kills are coming in for the Atlanta Reign. They're able to just get better positioning there. I think what really helped actually is they early on in the fight they were able to isolate Jonak on Ana with the May wall, and they were able to get an early pick on him, and then they had low heals for the rest of the fight. So getting good value out of the May. Really nice halt there to make sure they couldn't even take the high ground. They didn't even have a chance to take the high ground. A lot of these heroes do not have vertical mobility. So if you pull them off the high ground once, then it takes quite a while for them to get back onto it via the staircase. And New York just speeds right up to them and just destroys them. Okay, but it looks like Atlanta is going to be clutching this one with their ultimates. Ursa swapping onto the Reaper here, and now it's a well, it's not a mirror match. Different they have different supports. Yeah, Masa swapping onto the Lucio is probably the better pick. They seem pretty indecisive actually. Well, they are going to keep the Mercy, and they're going to go back to the Bastion with the Doomfist here. Atlanta really playing with fire with this. They lose Poke, but they're able to res Baby Bay. But will it be enough? Saviolbe's behind. He's looking to get a kill on the Dogman. Dogman destroying Saviolbe on the flank. Oh my lord, they were. Atlanta was really playing with fire with that. Oh man. Somehow able to clutch. New York back onto the May now. Atlanta's just trying to keep New York on their toes with these swaps, I think. They're making it so that they never really know what's going to be going on. And New York just forced to not even touch the cart here. Jonah gets separated on the Mora. And they just can't even touch the cart. Forcing them to play. See that sightline that Urster was holding down was very good for that part of the map, because if they're obviously, you need to push the payload to actually get the second checkpoint and to make progress on the map or whatever. And holding down that sightline makes it so that if they are on the payload, they are just going to die. So you have to kill Urster first. So New York was just trying to make slow advancements with their shields and with their abilities and such towards Urster so that they can kill Urster and then or kill the rest of Atlanta Reign and then push the payload. But by forcing them to by making the high ground control that New York was able to get like not even an advantage, by just playing a little bit further back like that, it forces them to even to cross even more dangerous terrain than uh, you otherwise would if you were on the staircase there. So very very smart play from Atlanta Reign to know where the power positions are relative to the payload, and to know you know just how difficult they really want it to be for their opponents. And Atlanta going to be coming out with the Pharah here. Very interesting healing combination. You see this a lot in gold, actually. The Mercy Moira, the classic Mercy Moira healing combo. It's not very good, but in this situation, apparently it is. Ursa just spamming here, just trying to break down the shields, trying to get New York off of this power position that they have. And Atlanta is just able to push the payload the entire time because New York does not contest it. And they're just not finding the kills that they want to. Atlanta's making quite a lot of progress on the payload. Several members of New York Excelsior are getting low. They're forced out. The lamp is forced out. And they killed Dogman, but they're able to res him. He's in a good spot. And the window is going to be getting pretty much no value from Jonak. Atlanta backs off, plays smart. And that should be all for first point. Ursa just biding time, building up his ultimate, making sure that they get the nice, clean and decisive wipe that they wanted. They played really well, backing off from the window. Yeah, not much to say. Just playing very slow and methodical. Atlanta Rain only engaging when necessary. But it looks like New York is gonna go for another fight here, and they are able to do it. They have more ultimates. But if Atlanta can just survive for a little bit longer, they are going to have their ultimates online. They're using the flux here to separate the team, and they are able to win. It did take a lot of ultimates, though. They actually had to use five of their ultimates to win that. So that is pretty big value from the New York Excelsior. They took some time off the clock. They got five ultimates out of them, and now New York. It's in New York's advantage here as far as the ultimates go. New York not even going to try and take that first fight on the bridge. They're just going to play on this high ground here, and they know that they only have one fight here, and they want to make sure it's a good one, and they want to make sure that they're in the position that they want to be in here. Pokemon may be placing that bongo a little too aggressively, not getting any value out of it really. They're able to re-engage, get in this rocket barrage, kill Libero. And Gator built his flux in that one fight. He just built his entire flux, and he just didn't. He used it. He did not get any value out of it though. And in turn, New York just re-engaged their bongo and their flux and was able to clean up that fight. Now, see, this is the problem with running Mercy and Moira is that you have two ultimates that are just not as good. You just don't get the utility that you get out of other supports. And staying on this for too long is just not as valuable as picking other supports like Lucio or Baptiste. You just don't get as much value out of the ultimates. Of course, you get value out of the res when you have such a ballsy player like Baby Bay. And New York just not able to hold down the positioning they want. They're all crammed into this corner here. They have mono contesting cart. And oh man, they are able to hold. And Chonak already he's 80% to his window again. And yeah, they are going to be swapping onto the Lucio off of the Mercy. It's just when you have the Lucio, you can take fights uh, at a much better pace, especially with the Reaper May. You want a character like Lucio to be able to set up the engagements. Looking pretty even on the ultimate front here. And oh, they kill Mono. It's a really good freeze by Erster, throwing it down, knowing that they're gonna have to contest the card immediately. He throws it right onto the cart. They get the res on the Mono, and he's able to stay alive, using his Fortify to live through the blizzard. And they somehow do it. That's crazy. Atlanta Rain maybe getting a little too ahead of themselves with the freeze. Maybe not respecting the power position that Saviolbi is in on the Bastion there. If you peek that Bastion, you will die. Even there, again, just not respecting the power of the Bastion. He gets the flux out onto him, but it's just not enough. Gator still winds up dying, and that seems to be all she wrote. New York with a really solid defense here. Damn, they really I was really well played from New York, really clutch. It's very hard to, at least from what I've heard, that part of the map is very hard to like as an attacker to take once you have sort of lost progress and like lost positioning. Um, because of the advantages that you get on defense when you just have like the better positioning and such. And it's it's almost that it's like too hard to take those positionings and the sight lines are too good that if you're in those positions and if you the other team does not have a good way to force you out of those positions, such as like some kind of ultimate or some kind of like ability. But usually, if it's like an ability, it's that the other team was just not playing in a, like around their team enough or something like that to really get you out of position. Like if you don't have like good ultimates and the other team knows how to react to your abilities and they have ultimates of their own and they can control the tempo well, it's just very hard to beat that area. I gotta give it up to Mono though. Mono really making sure that no matter what, if he dies, it's gonna be on the cart. Making sure that Atlanta does not get any more cart progress than he wants them to get. I'm gonna take a piss. I'll be right back. Uh, it's definitely it's been a very interesting match, and it's because it doesn't really abide by the way that a lot of sorry, this is an interesting meta this is taking place in because it doesn't really abide by like a lot of the ways that normal Overwatch metas go by. Now this is definitely I'd say the playoffs there was a lot of things that weren't so um figured out yet. Um, whereas when you were playing goats, things were like much more figured out. Whether it be like the maps and the positioning on the maps, or like different heroes and stuff like that. Like you would, uh, generally speaking, you could predict a fight either based on this, you know, they have these ultimates, and as long as they use those ultimates like well enough, if they how was this? Oh God. Okay. We should be fine. Okay. Um, you could either predict it on like the ultimates, or you could predict it like mid-fight as like one team gets a kill. Like if you see one team's Brigida go down in Goats meta, that team is usually going to lose. Um, and honestly, it was similar in dive. Like if you would lose a player in dive meta, you would usually just lose the fight overall. But in this, we're seeing like one, two, even three players go down sometimes, and the other team just wins. The other team just uses like two ultimates, three ultimates, and they're able to just clutch it out with the remaining three players that they have alive. Or like you have an ultimate like Bongo, for example, or Window, where if you use it, your team still gets value out of it, and so you can still, of course, you have like the damage amplified effects of it or whatever, and so you still just get big value out of it by your team just like um by whether maybe it's the other team getting too cocky and not respecting the fact that you have those ultimates out, even though they have an advantage or whatever, and it's just people not playing safe enough and just dying. It's just crazy. Gravitic Flux as well, but that got changed. Gravitic Flux, Sigma's ultimate. I think it used to be that like, so you use it and basically he like starts floating in the air, and then you have like the area that comes out, and you basically decide where you want the players to come up. Um, it's basically this thing where like you pick players up for a couple seconds and you throw them to the ground, and I think it does half of their total health. So if they're a 200 health character, it'll do 100 damage to them. If they're a 500 health character, it does 250 damage to them, etc. No matter what their current health is. So the best you can be is half HP after you come down from it. So um, it's big value. I'm not sure if damage buffs apply to it, but it used to be that he can use it, and while he's floating in the air, if you get picked up and he dies, you still will get like the ultimate will still finish, and you'll still take the damage. But they have since change that so that if he dies, you will not take the damage. You'll just go back down. So, um, that is another thing though, where if somebody dies, like you still have and he's if your Sigma dies and he's in the middle of doing his ultimate, then he is still getting value out of his ult. Let's just okay. So Lijiang Tower Night Market. It looks like New York Excelsior going out the Bastion strat yet again. Bastion Symmetra. Get people to the point faster. Baby Bay looks to also be on the Symmetra. He looks to be committing to it as well. He does not want to be switching off to a slower character. New York getting in the corner, getting a nice positional advantage here. However, Atlanta Reign has the rest of the point, and it just might not work out for New York. But the kills are coming in, and no matter how much Atlanta wanted to commit there, they were unable to. It looks like so Ursa's going to be going on the Junkrat. They're going to be keeping Baby Bay on the Symmetra here. It looks like they didn't even need Liver on that fight. Ooh, and Sabielby just gets a nice kill on the Masa. He was probably pulled and rocked. And Atlanta forced to disengage, need to wait for their for their support here. I like this very decisive play from the Atlanta Reign. They stick the wall down. They put the teleporter on the left side of the wall. They all teleport right there, and they force the. They say either fight us on our side of the wall, or you're dead. Very very decisive. Symmetra's gun just ramps up so much charge from that, from burning down shields. Just does so much damage. Um, they already have 55% to ult again after cleaning up that fight. Sabielby now on the Reaper. They're able to get mono. Looks like they were trying to commit with the window, get onto point, but maybe it was a little too early. And that's definitely going to cost them. The Orisa going down, just too much value over time. Orisa being the first pick in the fight is just a big, big win. You need to keep your Orisa alive. Mono may be overextending a little too much. Just getting out to the point before it was necessary. Want to make sure that you win the fight before you get on to the point if you don't really have the advantages that you need. And Gator getting no value out of his flux. And okay, New York comes back, and they use their ultimates better, get more value out of their ultimates. I think that opening pick under Erster from Ligro was really nice. It caught Erster off guard. They were able to win off the back of it. Oof, Atlanta just comes in with the window. I don't know what Mono is doing. Maybe they didn't know that they had the window and he wasn't anticipating them to do that to them, but yeah, that's once again the Orisa goes down first and you basically just lose the fight. Atlanta Reign gonna have their bongo this fight. Ursa swapping onto the Doom. There's going to be a very chaotic fight here. No, neither team is really in that good of a position. It's 99 to 99. Atlanta has control of the point, and there are people contesting the point here. Dogman getting so much value out of this coalescence with the bongo. Gets 3. Dogman gets 4, killing Meko. Kills Jonak 5. Dogman just popping off with the coalescence. That 50% damage increase means that the coalescence does some like 110 damage per second. It's crazy. And New York, they just didn't have the ultimates there uh, to really close it out. It was still very close either way, but I think playing a comp with the Bastion where you know you're going to swap off if you lose is just you need to make sure that you have your ultimates. Almost too many swaps coming off from them. Uh, and definitely some kind of positional misplays from their main tank mono. Yorker going mid. Popo taking a little heat, going in a little too aggressively. Don't really need the point yet. It's a huge pull right into the punch from Libero. Takes down Popo. they're able to get Libero, but taking down Popo's big value there. And unless Atlanta is able to get an ultimate there or something, they're really out of that fight. They really should just reset. Uh, Gator just trying to get in some ult charge there. And the ults are pretty even on both sides, other than say Bilby having slightly more ult on the Reaper. Both Moras gonna have Coalescence this fight. So Bilby on the high ground, looking for the flank. It looks like they're gonna get Baby Bay. They do get Baby Bay, and they also get Pokebo with the Flux. Big value out of that. And both Moras use Coalescence. But the ultimate charge is going to be pretty even this next fight as well. But New York is already at 50%, which means they really only need maybe 2 fights or so. Lance Rain needs to make some moves here and now. Mono got to drop the bongo. But the kills just don't come through. The Atlanta Rain decided to use their DPS ultimates. And although they lose Popo, the DPS just destroy their backline, and they are able to out-sustain New York Excelsior. Dogman coming up on another Coalescence. And Atlanta Rain also have their bongo here. Can use the bongo on the corner. Just trying to buy them off. Libero dies very quickly. And all they needed there was the bongo. Just such a powerful ultimate if you use it at the right time. New York was trying to engage. They use it on the corner there, and they use both DPS ults, and they were just unable to get value out of them. They just die. They got focused down too fast to get value. The Flux come out, kills Erster. They get Gator as well, and Dogman. No more sustain for the Atlanta Rain. And New York looks to take a point off the back of that Flux. Very smart for New York as well. Last fight, Atlanta only used Bongo to take the point. This fight, New York only used the Flux to take the point. You don't need to use any more. You just get the kills and you just, win. You want to make sure that you're rotating your ults properly, and these are ultimates that are crucial here. New York using the Bongo. Mono goes down. They also destroy the Bongo, and they take out everybody with the Flux. Atlanta says, "You got a nice Flux? Well, so do we." You got a nice Sigma player? Well, yeah, so do we, dog. And there should really only be one more fight here. And Atlanta's going to look to have a significant advantage with the ultimates. Baby Bay getting a little too, maybe getting a little too greedy here. When they almost take down Baby Bay with that. Or was it Dogman? I don't know. Very nice from Atlanta Rain. Very nice. Good work, boys. Holy crap. Okay, I'll be right back. I want to get some water. Ooh. Just to emphasize how close this series really is, I think something worth noting is the fact that uh, usually when you see teams, teams are usually either you're like really good at King of the Hill or Control, like this type of map that we just watched, or you're pretty just bad at it. And King of the Hill is like the fact. So New York won the first King of the Hill map, but then on Busan, and Atlanta took the second one, which means that they're both good, right? And they both understand how to win on King of the Hill effectively, but uh, and there is no real like huge advantage or anything going on. Oh, are they doing another halftime segment? What the fuck? See what they thought of this shit.
When you really, really want to win a playoff.
After falling 0-2. They're taking it to New York, and they're doing it with some unique strats on Hanamura.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely bounced back, and we got to see a beautiful Symmetra and Bastion here, but also Erster was playing up, but at the Junkrat. We've seen this on a couple of maps so far, with Baby Bay also playing out the Ashe. These are the kind of hidden strats that you only reveal when you really, really want to win a playoff match.
I don't think we've seen Ashe outside of Baby Bay's hands.
Yeah, I mean, Dia in the regular season is the last time I can remember it.
Look at this.
Chengdu as
Definitely
well.
a pocket pick. Yes, yeah.
So,
very niche.
I mean, Baby Bay was popping off on the Ashe, but what I love about the Symmetra Junkrat is you're coming in against NYXL, who's been emphasizing the Bastion. So on some of these points, like on Hanamura, you're able to get across that open ground with the Symmetra, and then you can charge up the Symmetra beam on the barriers, try and get that Junkrat ultimate up as well, use the Symmetra wall to cut off the Bastion, and then throw the Rip Tires in there. So it's a fun strat. It can be hard to deal with.
Gator was so good on the defense of this area, but it was all Sabiobi on the Bastion once it was actually Atlanta on the attack and New York defending. They can't break around this corner, either team. And even though Atlanta had multiple attempts, it was flashes back to that game against the Shock where time was just ticking down. Thankfully, when we got onto this map, it was all Atlanta Rain. They just had the better ultimates, were able to rotate their support ults a little more nicely, and it was always New York on the back foot.
And we were talking, Monty, before, and we thought whoever would win the first control might win the second. These two teams are splitting now, and now it's coming down to the final two maps. But
Problem is,
go ahead.
you have to win on New York's next two picks if you're the Atlanta Rain. So it's going to be tough.
And we think it might come down to these two guys. Familiar faces from the start of the Overwatch League. Of course, Baby Bay back with the Shock last year. Now with the Rain in the winner's bracket going up against the old man strength of Sabiobi.
And you can see that Sabiobi outplaying Baby Bay over the course of this match so far. Final blows, enormous differential, 33 compared to 50 for Sabiobi, and also dying less too. The Death Blossom kills were huge difference as well in the first half when we first got into the halftime, but now not so much.
And also, what we don't see there is the clutch factor, obviously, with Sabiobi, especially at the end of King's Row when he was playing that Reaper. And we saw it in the highlights there as well with him at the end.
I don't know why they don't have the time played. They should have the time played.
I think it's, from an eye test, it's also been Sabiobi by a mile.
Josh, you picked the Rain to win this one before the matches began.
But yeah, Sabiobi definitely dies less. Baby Bay's goes for much more
Gator's play so
aggressive
far has been
plays.
Excellent. And if the team can pull out some more unique stuff, if we go to perhaps Eichenwald or even Numbani, these are the two hybrid maps that are left are really open to a lot of creative stuff. Numbani, you use the high ground a lot. Eichenwald, they can maybe bring out the Junkrat and the Sim, or maybe a Farah. So I actually feel relatively positive about Atlanta, despite the fact that they're 3-2 down and they're going to have to play on New York's maps. I think this is possible.
The only way to close this one out properly, we need a Game 7. I got good news for you, Josh. We're going to Numbani. When we come back, this is the Overwatch League playoffs.
Had to be one of them.
Support your team with the official Overwatch League Coca-Cola bottles and Coke Store.
Oh yeah, I should get this. They probably have similar time played on the Reaper. I think that death statistic is pretty all telling. What did it say? It said like 34 deaths for Baby Bay. I think it said 25 for Sabiolbi. And Sabiolbi still had more eliminations and final blows, and they both had similar damage. Um, uh, and I think that's because Sabiolbi likes to play, of course, the typical kind of New York style where they typically play with the team more. Baby Bay is much more of a flanky kind of Reaper where he goes for these plays that are, of course, if he's a flanky Reaper, he goes for flanky plays. But I mean, he uses his Death Blossoms in like a much more, I almost want to say selfish way, but that's not really like for lack of a better term, in like a selfish way, where it's like he's going for like these bigger ultimates, and like they're not as safe as just getting 1 or 2 kills. It's more that like he wants to get several kills with his Death Blossoms. And sometimes the team sets them up for it, and it is really big, and they get good value out of it, so they don't need to use multiple ultimates. Whereas Sabiolbi, it seems that Sabiolbi going for the more safer ones, they are also like New York is also able to shut down Baby Bay's type of Death Blossoms better, and that seems to be a big factor in the difference between the Reapers. So it's harder to shut down Sabiolbi because his are more, percent plays versus, looking for these bigger plays where you're getting more kills and such, like Baby Bay likes to go for. Oh, wow, that's crazy. That's just on Moira. He hasn't only played Moira. 78,000 healing done. And almost half of the healing he's done, he's also done like the same damage. What was that? There's just some kind of red light on my keyboard that I've never seen before in my life. Interesting. Okay, well. We'll have a look at that later. So it looks like Atlanta's going to be rocking the Bastion Shroud again. Very similar to what we saw on Rialto, actually, with the Mercy Baptiste as well as the Ash. And New York, it looks like they're going to scout really quick. Sabiolbi scouting on the Sombra. Arguably the best hero to scout on. And he's probably going to be swapping off. He's going to swap out to the Bastion, actually. That's what they see what the enemies are playing. So the only difference here is going to be the Mei and the Ash. Other than that, everything is mirrored. Here, as New York looks to take the high ground. Maybe getting some nice chip damage off here. Already 30% to his ultimate. Use the Mei wall to get them in a position they maybe don't want to be in. Also burn down the shields. Get an advantage in the shield war. Atlanta forced to back off after losing the shield war there. Ooh, and the wall is able to split off the team. And they just lay down the window. Maybe not getting, maybe in the wrong spot though. But it doesn't even matter. So we're already getting the kills. The Gator comes in with the Flux. Able to finish some people out. They res Dogman. And they kill Pokepo. The only two people alive are the supports at this point. And, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you're just not able to do very much when you're just a support. You just can't get the kills to be rolling in or anything. Now the question is, are they gonna? No, they're not gonna be able to recontest or anything. I like the slow methodical play there. They use the wall, bring up the bastion so that the bastion can't shoot at their shields. They deploy their shields and then they destroy Atlanta range shields just to win the shield war and get some positioning there. And then they're able to just slowly choke them out. Unfortunately, Jonak didn't place his window very well and actually didn't get much value, but they didn't really get much value out of Dogman's window either. Popo dropping a supercharger. And Ursa coming in. Coming in with the Bastion ult. The freeze comes out from Libero. It does not get any value though. As he use it in an essentially a losing fight. Attempting to clutch it there. But pretty much all the ultimates from Atlanta Rain came out that fight. So they are going to be getting value. And Baby Bay, oof, an aggressive peak. Gets a really fat dynamite, but very costly, especially with the window there. Just not the right time to be throwing out the dynamite. And Atlanta are forced to back off. The kills are coming in for New York here. These both of their damage boosting ultimates. And the flux come out from Gator. Interesting flux. Interesting Bob as well. Atlanta does not seem to care that they are losing here. They are just using their ultimates, trying to get as much time off the card as possible, trying to get as many ultimates out from New York as possible. But I think New York realizes that they do have the advantage, and that they're not going to be wasting ults on that kind of tomfoolery there. But Gator already halfway to his next ultimate. That is incredible after he just used it. And New York has almost 4 minutes going into this next one. Using the window on the corner here. Everybody is so low that it's just, you cannot continue to peek that. If everybody just tries to stall on the cart, but they're able to kill him. And New York is just snowballing through here. Well, Atlanta still has the ultimate advantage. Or sorry, New York still has the ultimate advantage. They're able to finally get the Bastion, but they're able to res him back to life. This is why you want the Mercy. And I don't know what the coaches did backstage to New York, but they are fired up, man. They are destroying Atlanta this time. Almost 3 minutes left in the time bank after just clearing Nimbani. All Atlanta were really able to do is just stall the cart. And that's crazy. They did not win a single fight. It was New York just taking their time, doing their slow, calculated plays. And Atlanta not really using their ultimates very wisely. We are back. is going to be 2 minutes 58 seconds. New York has for their next attack round. So they've got a large mountain to climb here, if I do say so myself. It looks like they're going to be doing Mercy and Ana. Oh no, they're not going to be using Ana. Dogman just likes playing Ana, so I think he just plays Ana for as long as he can in the spawn room, and then he just swaps off the Baptiste or whatever. Unfortunate Dogman. It looks like they're trying to take the high ground. Atlanta's trying to take the high ground on this Bastion. Very important. When you take this high ground when you're playing a Bastion comp. And they're committing. They're going in for it. Baby Bay is clobbered. Oh, man. That's a perfect wall. New York. Oh, my. New York just set that up perfectly. Atlanta maybe taking a little too long to engage there. Maybe unaware of what New York was playing. But yeah, Baby Bay swapping off to the Reaper is definitely a good idea. Way too easily to isolate with the May wall and Reaper with the May Reaper combo there that New York are playing. Ursa has his ultimate. Gator also has his ultimate. Though Atlanta's going to be coming in with a slight ultimate advantage. They're going to go for this. This high ground take again. Not much value to come from the barrage other than breaking the May wall so that they aren't split off. And Gator are going to get some nice like stall, I guess. I don't even know what to call that. But some nice kind of CC onto New York to prevent them from rotating, and then the damage comes in from Urster to finish all of them off. Very well played. Very nice. And it looks like they're gonna want to stick on this composition actually. New York gonna have the tank ult advantage. Atlanta might not even use any tank ults, just trying to get the enemies out. Michael gonna use his gravitic flux. The bongo comes out from Pokepo. They're gonna combo the bongo with a barrage. They're not gonna get any value. Urster goes down. Moss's gonna res Urster as a window is used on Atlanta's side. A really nice halt to prevent damage coming in from Sabiolbi. And he's able to follow up and just kill Gator anyway. And Atlanta is forced to retreat here after Gator dies. The Death Blossom from Sabiolbi was, it was essentially a zoning ultimate, and it was enough to just kind of take enough space and distract them enough so that they could get the space and, win the fight ultimately. Libero doing a sneaky May thing here. And Baby Bay going to kill Mono. Although Baby Base goes down, they do have the Orisa advantage, which is huge. And they're able to just get more value over time, use the flux, finish off the kills. And Atlanta is pushing the cart. Also, something I didn't even notice is that they're on Atlanta's on Lucio now. And we're back to the mirror match. Gator and Urster looking to take the high ground up here, or at the very least contest the high ground that New York wants. New York's going to be coming in, and they're able to get Pokepo through the shields. They only used 2 ultimates to take that one. Pokepo just not receiving enough support. Pro from his teammates. You know, because Gator was on the high ground, so they knew that New York knew Gator was on the high ground, and they knew that Popo is a little more, you know, susceptible to just being killed in general. They just decide to focus Popo and not worry about the high ground at all, and it pays off. Get the Orisa advantage, win the fight. And they're going to engage early with the beat here. Maybe a little less calculated than they thought. Ursa gets the kill. With a Bjolby cleaning up. And New York is just charging their ultimates so quickly. Oh man, that's such a nice rock coming in from Gator. And the kills are coming in for Atlanta. Libero just doing almost nothing that fight. Because of the rock from Gator, I think New York was hoping to engage with Libero, but Libero just got destroyed by that rock, and he couldn't do anything. And he tried to do something with his ultimate, but it was just too late. His team was already dying. Really nice play from Gator. Did Popo use his bongo that fight? Going to start out the fight with a flux. Both teams are. And New York's gravitic flux is just better. Yeah, nothing else really to say there. What's important is that they stop the snowball there. And holding them on this corner is just very key, because on third point, you can get 2 fights. However, this third corner here is just a lot easier to defend than, of course, like the wide openness of like the, you know, the final point. And you really need to win that fight if you're New York. And they're winning this fight as well. It looks like they were able to split off Atlanta. So that some of them were in the alcove, is that what you want to call that? So that some of them were like kind of under the bridge, and some of them were further in the back towards the mega health pack, and they were able to split them off and focus exactly which targets they wanted to. Libero with a really nice flank onto Dogman. He gets 2. He gets both supports, and there's just no way they're coming back from that. This is going to be GG for the Atlanta Reign. New York takes the series. New York takes the series.
On in a great performance. Valor to the vanquish, though Atlanta played them really close. It seems even closer.
And that's all, folks.